So the idea of cryptocurrency falls into a category that we refer to as a disruption, okay? Disruption, you can see the definition there. It's a disturbance, right, that interrupts an event, activity, or process. But really, what we're talking about is something that disrupts a value chain, right, where there's an industry that provides a service, and it disrupts that value chain, so people no longer need the service of something that was very widely adopted. Some of the disruptions that we see that have happened recently in recent history: television, internet, email, mobile, e-commerce, and social media. What would you guys say is the biggest disruption in that list? If you could type that in the chat, what would you say is the biggest, the most impactful disruption in that list? What would you say? Go back and see if I can look at the people here. All right, we got some answers. Some people are saying internet, the automobile. Okay, Dave thinks it's the automobile. Well, I guess there's no real way to test the answer on that, but the internet was definitely disruptive, guys. The internet changed how people communicated all around the world. So it completely shifted paradigm, right? And when you change how human beings are able to communicate around the world, all sorts of other things surrounding that start to change and ecosystems start to evolve. And one of the things that I was resistant to, one of these disruptions, was social media, believe it or not. Up until about 4 years ago, I did not even have a Facebook account. I thought it was for people who just needed attention. So I was resistant to that. I know a lot of people who were resistant to email. Maybe some of you guys swore you would never do any sort of business that didn't involve a physical product, but here we are today, right? We have an incredible, very, very lucrative business opportunity where people don't have to purchase a physical product. People don't have to have something tangible in their hands. We have e-commerce. We have an e-commerce platform that we're going to talk about today. So those are some incredible disruptions. But what happens if you ignore these is one of two things. You either go and move into a cave somewhere and then you get left behind, or they tend to fall into your lap where you get to the point where you're saying, you know what, I have to make this change. I got to get email. Fine, I'll get Facebook because my whole family's on it. And you just end up assimilating regardless. But the exciting thing about today's disruption that we're going to talk about, cryptocurrency, is that we're going to actually show you guys how we can profit and get in front of this disruption that I believe is going to be even bigger than the internet. If you guys are into storing cash in your mattress, you might want to take a second thought on that. Fiat currencies have a 0% success rate. What do we mean by fiat currencies? Well, unbacked government paper currency, right? And these days, it's not just paper. We have digital numbers on screens. So really, without the cryptography portion, we do have digital currencies. When you go and spend your credit card, when you use any sort of online banking, when you do that sort of stuff, that's digital, right? But there's nobody behind the scenes actually taking your cash, taking physical or something that backs up cash, like a commodity like gold or silver, and relocating that. In reality, it's just numbers on a screen. What the banks do is they actually create money out of thin air. It's through a process called fractional reserve lending. I don't want to get into the details of that right now, but if you have a chance to look it up, fractional reserve lending or fractional reserve banking, look that up. Very, very interesting. But as we see, there have been hundreds of fiat currencies, guys, that have come and gone over the past several centuries, and they have a 0% success rate. For those of you that are gamblers out there that like to go to the casino, if I told you to go check out the table over there, the blackjack table, and said, guess what? That table has a 0% payout rate. Would you go visit that table? Probably not. So you might want to second think just storing cash under the mattress. The idea of cash being king is not really proving to be true these days. So you can look at the value of the dollar, and really what we're looking at since 1913, which was the inception of the Federal Reserve Cartel, as I call them, a private organization made up of central banks, is that the purchasing power has actually gone down. How do you know that? Because when I go down the street to buy some cinnamon, to buy other things like that, I'm noticing the prices are going up and up and up, and people have to make more and more money to keep pace with inflation. And what we see now is it's getting really hard for a lot of people around the world because of the central banking system we have in place. But there's this thing called Bitcoin that came along back in 2009, roughly, And it is the largest returning investment in a 4-year period ever, guys. And a lot of people say, well, man, Bitcoin's $3,000. I wish I could have gotten it for $300. Believe it or not, guys, that was just last year, okay? People would have loved to get it for 10 cents, right? But I truly believe that 3, 4, 5 years from now, people are going to be saying, man, I wish I would have gotten Bitcoin for $3,000, okay? So that's why I believe we're in the right time, the right place. And if you look at Bitcoin over time, since the beginning, it's given a 90,000% return. That's right, 90,000% return. So if you have a financial advisor who told you to stay away from Bitcoin, you might want to go ask them, why did you tell me this? Because I could have retired about 10 years earlier if I would have not taken your advice. A lot of big proponents of Bitcoin. We have Sir Richard Branson and Bill Gates, just to be a couple. These guys are very active now in the cryptocurrency community. Richard Branson holds an annual Bitcoin retreat on his island. Bill Gates, obviously, he's a big proponent. And these guys have seen technologies and what they can do. They've been at the forefront. They are billionaires because they got in front of these trends. And they understand what this type of technology can do to the world, how it can completely transform the world. So when we talk about people being able to exchange information through the internet, now we're talking about people being able to exchange value. A couple of cool things about cryptocurrency. We look at cryptocurrency, and there's this concept that I actually took from Andreas Antonopoulos called digital scarcity. Digital scarcity. Up until this technology, those two words were not to be used in the same sentence, right? Because digital and scarcity didn't make any sense, because if something's digital, you can make copies of it. You can replicate it. Well, that's not the case with cryptocurrency. That's why digital scarcity is a new phenomenon, and people can't wrap their minds around it. But not only is cryptocurrency finite, but it can be broken down into smaller units. So when you have something like Bitcoin that has 21 million coins, but it can be broken down to the 8th decimal, what you have is potential for continued increase in value, because the more usability, the more popularity that happens with Bitcoin. We talk about 2 billion, 3 billion people around the world that are unbanked. That hasn't even hit the wave yet, guys. We're just hitting the first phase of the investor interest. Imagine what's going to happen when all of those billions of people who have smartphones start to use and buy small fragments of Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen to the value of the Bitcoin? Well, I think it's going to go up. So when you talk about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, there's a couple of ways you can profit right now. Right now, we're in what I like to call the accumulation phase or the acquisition phase, right? We want to save as much as we can. It's good to diversify. You know, I keep the majority of mine in Bitcoin, but I do diversify. But it's really good to start acquiring Bitcoin, because this is going to be a wealth transfer. This is what we are looking at. We are looking at what I believe will be the biggest wealth transfer in human history. And in order to profit the most, where we can profit generationally, we can have our family taken care of for years and years to come, I believe it's important to acquire as much as possible. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. Mining is one way. I'm involved in group mining as well. That's something I do. I don't talk about that on this webinar, but the other thing is trading. Now, some of you might be saying, well, John, I don't have any idea how to trade. Well, when we're talking about automated trading, which is done for you by the best company in the world called TradeCoin Club, which is what we're going to talk about today, you don't have to know, and I'll let Dave get into that in more detail. But passive trading opportunities are very, very valuable. And the key thing is if they're legitimate. There are many that say they are, and they aren't. TCC is the real deal. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies come and go within a matter of weeks and months, and they're operated by the same group of people. And some companies, a good company like TCC, can get lumped into that category. So beware with these other opportunities, guys. You really want to do your due diligence. But you don't really have to go anywhere else, because TCC will definitely take care of you guys. So before we get into the details of this, Dave, can you unmute yourself, or do you need me to do it? I'll wait 5 seconds. If I don't hear from you, I'll assume that you need me to do it. All right. I'm going to take that as you need me to do it. All right. So, Dave, you are unmuted, my friend.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was trying to unmute myself, but it didn't work.
No problem. I blame the technology. Always blame the technology.
Oh yeah, I learned that years ago at Kodak.
So Dave, I don't have my interview questions, just to let you know. So I'm just going to kind of hand it over to you and go through a few of the slides. Before we do that, when we talk about the trading part of this operation, can you introduce yourself for those of the folks that don't know you and just give a little bit about your background?
Sure, be more than happy to. I'm down here in a little old place called Austin, Texas. I actually come out of the corporate world out of Rochester, New York, where I spent 27 years at Eastman Kodak Company. And when I retired back in 1992, I was director of international finance for one of their divisions. But I started out in electrical engineering, migrated into finance, and actually became what I was referred to as a bean counting engineer, one of the scariest kind of people you ever want to meet. I've never seen a spreadsheet that I didn't fall madly in love with. Love my spreadsheets. But I consider myself, John, more of an investor, as you know, than a trader. And I've been investing since like 1965. Bought my first shares of Kodak stock. A year later, I bought my first call option before you could even, do that. But I figured out a way to do that. Actually, I lost all my money on that call option. So I quickly learned you don't buy call options or put options. You actually sell those. And that's what I do as a side light to TCC. I used to do it all the time, and TCC was my side light. But now TCC is my main energy. So I focused on selling put and call options using what I call vertical spreads and iron condors. And I just love iron condors for the put and call people on here. And I developed what I call a delta neutral, gamma neutral swing trading technique using the RSI and the MACD lines. And it works pretty well, but not anywhere near as well as the TCC platform. But here's the really good news, John, and you know this really well. You don't have to understand any of this MACD lines, RSIs, or anything like that to be successful with the TCC platform. It's basically all done for you. We've hired the TCC people to do the trading for us. But I guess that's probably enough about me. And what you would probably want me to talk about now is trading. That's what you usually would ask me. So I'm going to assume you're going to ask me about trading. Yes, what is trading?
What is trading?
I don't know. It's a lot of fun, though, because TCC does all the trading for me, so I don't have to know. But let's talk about investing first, and it'll really relate easily to trading. Everybody's familiar with investors. Investors buy stocks, bonds, oil, any kind of asset, and they kind of hang on to them, and they sell them later at a nice profit, hopefully. Probably the best known investor is Warren Buffett, and you've all heard of Warren, I'm sure. Now traders, they buy the same assets, the same bonds and gold and silver and stocks, but they only hang on to those for, a couple weeks, couple months. They buy at 20, sell at 25, maybe sell at 25 and buy back at 20. That's called shorting. Now they're just interested in a nice small, $5, $10 at a profit. But then there's the day traders. Those are the real traders. They're trading every day, buying in the morning, selling in the afternoon, or maybe, buying one day, selling the very next day. They're not going to hang on to their positions very long, and they're just looking for a small profit. They're not looking to make a big buck like Warren Buffett. But if you make lots of small profits, it adds up. Then what came into play around 2008 was this thing called high frequency trading. And that's the hedge funds on Wall Street kind of developed that technique. And what they do is they don't buy in the morning and sell in the afternoon. They buy and sell like a second later. And then it got down to milliseconds. Then it's down to microseconds. They're literally doing thousands of trades a day. And that's basically what our Trade Coin Club is doing for us. They're using high frequency software that they've developed. They're trading the top 30. I like that diversification, John. They're selling and buying Dash and Litecoin and Factom and IOTA, all kinds of other stuff. And they're looking for just a little minuscule profit, pennies or maybe fractions of a penny. But again, when you're doing thousands of these transactions every day, the profits can really add up, as you and I both know.
The software is very impressive. I got to see it in action at the corporate offices a couple of weeks back, and it's pretty cool to watch.
What did you get? What did you get to see? Because as you know, Dr. Tom and I are headed there.
I'd have to kill you, Dave.
Oh, geez. Again? I've died so many times at your hands.
I got to watch some of the trading take place, and I got to see the success, and it's very consistent with what we're making in profits. Let's just say that. You know?
Okay, excellent, excellent. I honestly, I felt it would be so proprietary that they would never even let you even look at the trading room.
I was able to look at it and stuff, and we had to, of course, sign NDAs. For some things, but for those of you that don't know who, my whole positioning, I guess I would call it, I did make it the top 20 in the company. So there's 200,000 registered members. So I'm very proud to be in the top 20. And then I was put on the board of directors to be able to be a voice for you guys. So that's what I was doing, was basically going to Belize to have fun, but mostly to annoy the master distributors as well as the trading team with all my questions that I wouldn't let off. So believe me, if you ask any of the other top 20 who was the loudest, they'll point to me.
So I've heard. Well, we like that, John. There's a few of us on this call that like to ask questions, as you have picked up on.
Yes.
But, John, let's talk about the software that you got to really see, and hopefully when Dr. Tom and I get down there in September, we'll get to see it too, because we're going on a little vacation.
Yes, I heard. Yeah, I got to get back to your question, by the way, Dr. Tom. I did not forget. I just want to make sure we get the presentation for the new people. Go ahead, Dave.
Yep. So this proprietary software is something that initially was developed and used on Wall Street, mainly with the hedge funds, starting around 2008 or so. And they did really, really well, the hedge funds, with this. But what TCC has done in conjunction with their actual trading company partner, Trade by Trade, is they've adapted this proprietary software to the cryptocurrency markets. And there are cryptocurrency markets, just like there's a New York Stock Exchange, there's NASDAQ, but there's probably 20 or 30 big ones all over the world, in London and Hong Kong, 2 or 3 big ones in China. So they've adapted this software to do the trading on the exchanges around the world, and it's really, really working well, as some of us will attest to. But there's some credibility behind this too, in the fact that TCC is the only licensed, bonded, and insured cryptocurrency trading platform on planet Earth. Now, will there others be following through? You better believe it. I just wrote a pretty extensive blog about how the hedge funds are going to be bailing into the cryptocurrency markets because the equivalent of the SEC, the people that control the option markets, have given license to one of these exchanges.
Keep going, Dave. I'm just getting the right presentation up. You can keep going. Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem at all. So Trade by Trade is a company that actually does the trading for our club. Armando Farah is the CEO. And actually, if you go to John's YouTube, what is it, John? Is it YouTube/newwayearners.com?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, John's got some videos up there of this whole operation. So they're pretty enlightening to see that stuff. Now, not only do they have the trading that's going on, but they're willing to share with us how they actually do this. And it's not rocket science. Now, the software is rocket science, that's for sure. But what they're doing for us, they're using their proprietary software to auto trade the top 30 cryptocurrencies. And they've developed the proprietary algorithms that they've got programmed into the trading that predict the direction of the cryptocurrency. Are they going up? They buy. They're going down, they sell, and they automatically place these orders with the exchanges. So we really don't need to do anything or know anything about trading. The computer is basically doing it for us totally and complete. All we have to do is turn our trading on once a week, and that's the extent of it. Of course, you have to initially invest, I mean, you don't invest dollars or what's that other thing
Yuan or
in
euro.
Europe called euros? Yeah, and those other things. They only deal with Bitcoin. So you invest with Bitcoin, but you trade the top 30. And when you get your payback, your returns every day, they come back to you in Bitcoins.
Yes.
So they do this high frequency trading on their in-house computers, and that was a neat thing that John took videos of, and I was pleasantly surprised that they allowed him to do that. And we can see those computers actually doing the work. They're under their control. They're not licensing out to anybody else, and they generate profits every day for us, the members, Monday through Friday. Now, I want to paraphrase this: past performance is no guarantee of future results, but I've been averaging about 0.7 to 0.8 interest return every day as a percentage of what I've invested. The least amount I've returned is 0.45. So that's a pretty decent return. Now, we've never had a loss, but their goal, and we've been trying to figure out what is a stop loss that's in the system. And you'll see this in a second with Tom, but I'm going to answer this question with John. But the stop loss, in essence, is their goal. They don't want to see anything less than 0.45% return. That's a positive, not a negative. So their goal is to get a daily return of 0.45% for the senior traders. Now, again, John will get into this. For the apprentices, it's 0.35. And for the trader level, it's 0.4. But that's a minimum gain that they're striving for every day. And they got some ways of making sure that happens, and they've been very good at making that happen, because the least I've ever returned has been 0.45%. So that's how they're operating. They've never had a losing day, and at what I'm learning now, it's going to be difficult for that to happen. So that makes me very, very happy. Now, if you like this trading stuff, though, and you want to know more about it, or you just want to know more about Bitcoin, here's a last tip I'll share with you. Join your local Bitcoin club, or at least go to the meeting. And it doesn't cost any money to join, but you meet a lot of traders there. You meet a lot of techie people there. It's just a really, really great place. And if you want to read and learn some more, here's a book that I highly recommend, written by a young lady that I know here in Austin, Texas, called Blockchain for Dummies by Tiana Lawrence. She's one of the founders of a company called Factom, which is one of the top 30 cryptocurrencies that they're trading. So we're going to have a Q&A at the end, but John, it's your turn now to really come back and show people how they can become a member of this club and get the benefits that you and I and a lot of the other folks on this call have been receiving for the last few months. So it's all yours, young man.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Appreciate your insight, your expertise. Like Dave said, you don't have to be an expert trader and do what most people do when they start trading, and that's lose a lot of money. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We got 50 plus people on here. So good turnout today, guys. All right. So let's get back into this here. I can play from the current slide. So when we talk about who is TCC, the other thing I want to mention about the trading too is that they do yield profits for members 5 days a week. So not on the weekends. The weekends they do continue trading, but they use that profit to hedge any sort of loss. So that's how they get that stop loss, where they make you a minimum amount, is through the way they set that up. Very, very clever. Something that I learned recently about this setup, and I really think it's a really clever way that they set that up. So who is TCC? So basically, it's very simple. A lot of people complicate it. They use different words like investor and this and that. Well, you're not investing. You're actually just joining a membership club, right? I know it is an investment in the way people understand it, but really what it is it's a membership club. And with that being said, it's a VIP membership club, which means that you can only be invited through another member, okay? And I'm very picky about who I personally invite, because just because somebody will join doesn't mean you want them to join you. Does that make sense? What happens in these types of programs is sometimes we get a whole lot of people that don't want to spend the time getting educated. They don't respect the business that they're in, and they don't do a good job of representing it. And then they also cause a lot of stress for you as a leader, because make no mistake about it, guys, the second that you ask someone to come into this club, you're choosing to make this your business, okay? So that's really important to understand as well. And all we do is just, we're able to access this competitive billion-dollar market for people that don't have to have millions of dollars to get into a hedge fund. You can get involved in this platform and get the same perks using Bitcoin. And we'll talk about the entry levels. So we're just a membership club, and what do? We split the profits of the trading that happens between the top 30 digital currencies. They pay us in beautiful blue Bitcoin chips. It's a wonderful setup, and I couldn't be happier since I've gotten in. I've seen nothing but improvements, and the validity of the company has continued to impress me. So when you do decide to become a member, if you're thinking about that today, I want to make a couple of things pretty clear. First of all, let's talk about the 3 levels. We have the apprentice, the trader, and the senior trader. That's it, guys. There's not 15 levels. There aren't 300 different products you have to memorize and become an expert on. It's 3 levels. You take your Bitcoin, you put it into the exchange, and boom, you are an active member. There is no difference between somebody who wants to build the membership club, right, or treat this like a business, and somebody who just comes in passive. There is no difference when it comes to how you get started. So I also love that. There's no monthly product that you have to buy. There's nothing that you have to take out of pocket every month to maintain. You get in, your first time you get in, you can see here on the bottom left, guys, you pay 0.05 Bitcoins. That's the pay to play. That's for the software. After that, you can come in for as little as 0.01. Now, if somebody asks you, hey, what did you come in for? I can tell them that within a matter of 2 days, I decided to come in at the senior trader. That's something I can tell people. Even if I didn't have the funds at the time, I would have found a way to get the funds for the senior trader because I understood that this was a no-brainer opportunity for me, right? For me personally. But I can tell you, they're going to ask you the same thing. So if you're thinking about what's the smallest amount I could possibly put in, you might want to reconsider this opportunity because this opportunity isn't really for people who are thinking small. This opportunity is for people who are ready to think bigger. Right? We're talking about a multi-million-dollar opportunity and a business in your pocket for 0.05 Bitcoins. So when you come into this platform, you really don't want to think of it as an expense because it's not an expense, guys. If you decide to come in for 5 Bitcoin, it's not as if that 5 Bitcoin is gone, like you bought 5 Bitcoins worth of multivitamins and now your entire cabinet set is filled with multivitamins that you're never going to take. No, this is something that you're going to earn profits on. So think about the incredible setup. You get to come in, put your Bitcoin into the platform, and then throughout the duration of your contract, you get to get back more than what you put in. On top of that, you get to have a multi-million-dollar potential business. So I love the way this thing is set up. So the other thing I want to make clear about this is that the apprentice level, guys, is not a passive level. If you are thinking about coming in at an apprentice, please do. We love everybody. Everybody's welcome. But if you are coming in as an apprentice, a couple of things you have to keep in mind. It can't be your end game. Putting in 0.02 Bitcoin is not the end game for you. If that's your end game, unfortunately, this platform is not for you because you're not going to make Bitcoin coming in at an apprentice and being 100% passive. So you're either going to add more to your position. You can do that through building a team. You can do that through compounding, and you can do that through adding extra Bitcoin, outside Bitcoin. Now, that's a good entry level, but if you are just going to be passive, we recommend you come in at least at the trader level. Okay, guys, this is something that you get to look at and think about seriously. I understand that 1 Bitcoin is a lot of money right now, but if you are thinking just passive, you have to come in at least a trader level. That's what we recommend. If you go to a bank and you put in $500 into a bank account, what kind of bank account are they going to give you? They're going to give you the economic bank account, and you're going to get 0.01% interest at the end of the year. Well, with TCC, you have to put at least a trader in to be passive. Now, you can come in at whatever level you want, but if you are inviting other people into this platform, guys, please sit down with them and have a discussion. Ask them, what are your intentions, right? I used kind of the joke the other day in one of my presentations. I said, what are your intentions with my daughter? Right? This business is our baby. This is something that I value very, very much. So I need to sit down with each person that I bring in and make sure we have an understanding about what this is, and they have an understanding about what's the best way for them to leverage this platform. So with that being said, let's move on. And let's talk about the membership benefits. What we have when you do put your Bitcoin into the exchange is you are entering in a usage contract. So this is a time contract, guys. It's not like Dave gave the example of a CD the other day where you put money into a CD. At the end of it, you get back all your principal with a little bit of interest, right? Maybe, I don't know how much percent you'll make, 5%, 8%, something like that. No, with this platform, it pays much, much better in my experience. But the way that you actually earn those profits is through the trading. So you put the Bitcoin in the platform. It is an affiliate program. So 50% of that Bitcoin, 45% goes up to the network and 5% is used for the career plan. The other half is being traded on. But the beauty about TCC is when they trade, because they're such phenomenal traders, they make you back all of your principal and the profits that Dave was talking about. So what's that called? That's called a win-win-win-win-win. Everybody's winning. And that's the thing I really love about TCC. So 8 months for the apprentice, 12 months for the trader and senior trader. If you guys do come in at the apprentice and then 3 weeks later you decide to move up to the trader, no worries, guys. They're not going to charge you the 0.05 again. It's a one-time charge. What will happen is they'll just add the extra 4 months onto the backside. Now, keep in mind, because this always becomes a quote-unquote surprise. I like to call that. We have lots of surprises in this platform, which basically means people haven't read the FAQs or paid attention to the presentation. But every membership pays 25% trading fee. So this is going to be on the newly accrued trade profits. That's it. Where does it come from? It comes from the same wallet that the trading profits go into, the trade wallet. So they take it out of the trade wallet. Now, I did just get an update, guys, that they are going to be working in a barometer, which will show you exactly what you owe. So that way you can make sure you save it up. But basically, we just recommend stop compounding or stop taking Bitcoin out of the trade wallet, because that wallet is completely liquid. You can take that out every day. But stop doing that after 60 days into your trade cycle. That'll make sure that you save it up in the same wallet that it's being taken out of, thus keeping you from the temptation of spending it or liquidating it or trading it for other cryptocurrencies or whatever you might be tempted to do. So that way you have it ready to go. So that's a really simple rule of thumb. Also, we did just get an another update, that the third cycle, which is the last 4 months, they will take it out of the trades. Automated. So they will start taking it out. They have to do that to protect the company, because if they don't do that, people could do the last month of trading and then just leave and never pay the 25% profit sharing. But you get to keep 75%, company takes 25%. Pretty awesome deal. Okay, let's talk about building a team. I'm going to go through this real quickly. So if you don't get it in full, don't be overwhelmed. This is something you can learn as you go along. Like I tell a lot of people when I first got involved, the biggest problem I had was trying to figure out how I was getting paid so many different ways in Bitcoin. I was confused. I'd see all these little guys pop up at the end of the day, and I'm saying, how am I making all this Bitcoin? Believe me, that's a good problem to have. And if you do get out there and spread the word and you are consistent, you're going to have that same problem. It's a good problem to have. So don't worry about not getting it all today. But guys, this is 5 ways to earn, 5 different bonuses. If you count the trading, that's 6. And if you count the career plan, that's 7. Have you guys ever heard the phrase that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income? Well, here's a platform where we literally have 7 different ways to earn. So let's talk about the 5 bonuses here. The direct referral is very simple, guys. It's 10%. There are some limitations when it comes to the different levels. At the apprentice, you see here that it caps out at 0.99 per referral. Doesn't matter how many referrals, it's just per one referral, you can only make 0.99 Bitcoin. At today's current price, that's about $3,000. That's not bad for getting into a business for hundreds of dollars or whatever the cost is worth of Bitcoin. That's a pretty good deal. So if you do bring someone in at the apprentice, you're at the apprentice level and they decide they want to come in at, let's say, 20 Bitcoin, well, I would recommend you get up to that trader level as soon as possible, because you will be leaving Bitcoin on the table. Do you guys see how that works? The trader, very, very high cap, but it does cap out at 4.99 Bitcoins, okay? So what does that mean? That means if you have somebody that comes in for more than 50 Bitcoins, then you might want to get up to that senior trader, okay? But still, you can earn a lot on direct commissions, even at the trader level. And then we see at the senior trader level, it is unlimited. Indirect referrals, guys, not to complicate this, again, this is very simple. I bring Dave in, he brings in Dr. Tom, okay? Dr. Tom puts in 5 Bitcoin. He's second generation to me because Dave is first generation. So I get 3% of 5 Bitcoin. Not a bad deal. And it goes down to the 4th level at the apprentice. It goes down to the 6th level at the trader, and it goes down to the 8th level at the senior trader. Now, this is unlimited, guys. So if you spend a lot of time and you work really, really hard, and you bring in 50 people over the next year, okay? Very doable, believe me. I did it in my first few months. Bring in 50 people over the next year, 8 levels down, guys, of everything that happens with those 50 people, you will earn percents. And I can promise you that adds up. To date, I have earned more in indirect referrals than I have in direct referrals. So believe me, these add up. So success loves speed. It means when you get into this, commit to it and treat it like a business. Don't do what most people do and treat it like a hobby, setting no goals and being inconsistent, because you're going to get hobby results. Here we go. Team bonus, guys. If you thought those were impressive, check this out. This is the team bonus. Think of it as this. If you have a sales organization and you have 2 sales teams, right? One team goes out and does some business. The other team goes out and does a bunch of business. They're going door to door. They're hustling. It doesn't matter if you even know the person on the team. They could be so far removed from you that you don't have a clue who they are. But guess what? They're still on your team because they're in your organization. You are going to earn 8% at the apprentice, 9% at the trader, and 10% at the senior trader of whatever the volume is for the weaker, right, the lesser team for that day. So if that confuses you, again, don't worry about it. I'll give you an example. Your left team has 300 Bitcoins sitting there, right? Just sitting there, 300 Bitcoins, teams are growing. You don't even know these people. The other team comes in, the end of the day, they do 10 Bitcoin. Well, what do you get as a senior trader? You get a full Bitcoin. Whether it had anything to do with your personal sponsorship or not, you get a full Bitcoin. That 300 Bitcoin, it deducts by 1 Bitcoin. So it pulls it from that power team. But that 299 Bitcoin, guys, it sits there just waiting for you. I like to call those uncashed checks or unsent Bitcoin. It's incredible. It just sits there waiting for you. So I have people that have millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin just sitting on one of their teams, and they're not building a business. And that's okay, because not everybody has to build a business, but it hurts to know how much potential is sitting right there for that person to change their financial future, and they're doing nothing with it. So bear in mind, guys, this bonus is very, very powerful. And if you look at the caps, because there are some caps on this, at the apprentice, it's 2 Bitcoins per day. 2 Bitcoins per day, guys. At the current price of Bitcoin, that's roughly $6,400, $6,500, somewhere in there. For the trader, that's 10 Bitcoins per day. 10 Bitcoins per day, guys. And the senior trader, it's 15 Bitcoins per day. Now, that is every single day. So not many people in the company are capping this thing out, but I do know people who have maxed out this daily team bonus already. So that's pretty impressive 7 months in or 8 months in. This bonus is probably the most confusing. It's paid me the least amount of money, but it is the bonus that I am the most excited about. See, a lot of businesses, they have direct, indirect, and maybe some have team bonuses, not nearly as good as ours, but TCC didn't stop there. On top of that, they added what's called a bonus residual. This bonus residual is what I like to call almost like having a guaranteed customer base. Only with this customer base, you don't have to go and chase them and call them up and ask them why they didn't order their face lotion this month, right? What are you doing, Jan? Don't you love it? Didn't it make your skin soft? Well, yeah, but it's only $300 a month. Isn't your beauty worth it? You don't have to do any of that stuff, right? This is an automated fee. This comes out once somebody earns 0.25 BTC. So guess what, guys? The company doesn't charge this out of any of their members until they actually earn 0.25 Bitcoin. That's when the company, once a month, will start charging. Now, don't be too alarmed by this, because this, for the senior trader, this 0.045, that comes out to probably the worst I do on a trade day. So it's one trade day. But then I get to actually get paid, you can see here at the bottom right, 0.003 BTC for every single active member in my matrix. Guys, I'm not saying that this is a free ride because placement does matter. Sometimes you get placed in a position where you're going to have more spillover, but at the end of the day, the business is up to you. But I do have a couple in my team. They came in shortly after me. They've only brought in a handful of people, and they're making about a full Bitcoin per month on this bonus. Okay, so this is changing their lives, and they are retired. They just retired, so it's been a huge blessing for them, which makes me feel really good. But bottom line is, the sooner you can put your real estate into TCC, the faster you can start to build this up, the sooner you can get positioned, because what happens with this bonus is each month it goes up and up and up and up. And it comes out of the profits that are made by the members. So again, it's not something that's going to not come in because people fall out, right? The members are paying this every month because it comes out of their profits. And you, being positioned in the matrix, getting in now, you will get to benefit from this as well. So that's a pretty awesome bonus, guys. I like to call that a guaranteed customer base. And then the last bonus is the renewal bonus. So when people come into the platform, let's say they put 5 Bitcoin, and let's just say, for example's purposes, they come out with 9. The 5 that they had in, and then 4 profit, okay? So again, let's just say they have 9 for example's sake. What they're going to want to do is take that 5 and put it back into the platform. Now, is everybody gonna do this? No. Are people gonna be responsible enough to save their Bitcoin? No. Are they gonna come into some hardships where they might have to liquidate some of that Bitcoin and spend it? Sure, it happens. So it's not to say that everybody's going to reinvest with the exact same amount. Some people might come in for more. Some people might come in for less. But if people are placed in this matrix, you think it's a pretty good chance they may want to keep that bonus residual coming in because they don't want to lose their spot in this team. I think it's a pretty good chance. So there's a really good chance that most people are going to renew and take that Bitcoin and put it back into the exchange so they can start a new contract, okay? So what happens when they do that? You get paid all over again. Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. You get paid all over again. So how would you like to work really, really hard, have the best year of your life in 2017, and then a year later, have it happen all over again because people are renewing? If you train your team right, guys, if you join our team, New Way Earners, we will make sure that we do the best possible job to make that happen. So this is a powerful platform, guys. I hope you're loving this, and I hope you're sitting down because this stuff can cause some sleep deprivation. Ask Dave. Side effects of TCC, sleep deprivation. All right, guys, so that's the bottom line. It's time for your success, guys. If you guys want to do this, the company will also reward you. I'm not going to get too much into the career plan, but I always give the example of my dad. He worked at a company for 15 years, and after 15 years of traveling 2 hours a day by train, working 12 hours a day at his corporate job, they gave him 1 ounce of gold. Pretty cool, right? He felt appreciated, and he had his ounce of gold. I already won a trip to Belize. I'm going on a cruise, and I've only been in this company 7 months. So I think I'm doing better with TCC, but they will reward you guys with some really awesome stuff. For those people that are committed to this as a business, you're going to get some awesome perks for that. In order to qualify, you just have to have 4 direct, guys. 4 people direct, okay? And let's go down here. That's it, guys. If you can look at the websites here. For more information on the career plan and some other details, go to tradecoinclub.com. Awesome corporate website. Go to newwayearners.com/getting started. For those of you that are just getting started, here's some good news for you. You don't have to call your sponsor asking them 1,000 questions because I have spent months and countless hours making this webpage by shooting videos. When I first came into this platform, guys, I had no guidance, no leadership. There wasn't even any sort of tutorial or manual like we have now in the back office. I had to click buttons and make mistakes. So you have it even better than I had it because I got to go in there and make this page, and now it's used all over the company. So it's really, really cool. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do updates when I have updates from the company, or if I come up with a new video idea that we've gotten some clarification on, I'll shoot a video. And if you go to newwayearners.com/YouTube, right there, hit subscribe. And then when I do shoot a new video, you'll get an email saying New Way Earners posted a new video. Also, show me some love. Show me some love, guys. I spend a lot of time doing this stuff. So if you can give me a thumbs up on the YouTube video, maybe even put a comment in there like, John Riley, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me, or whatever you want to say. You know, put that in there and I would appreciate that. And you can use that getting started page to train your teams, guys. Don't worry, I don't have my sign up link at the bottom. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just trying to help the community. So I'm not trying to get anything out of you. I'm just using that page to help the community. Teams across the world that don't even fall in my downline use this page as well. All right, so that's pretty much it. And then if you guys are participating in trading today, don't forget to set your trade risk today after 5 o'clock Pacific time. So that is that's about 3 hours from now. The trade wheel is going to stop spinning. You're going to log into your back office. You're going to click the drop down and you're going to hit high risk. Now, this is a pretty simple process, but I would also recommend checking it tomorrow. Just log back in, make sure the wheels are still spinning, and then you're good to go. All right, guys. So I will stop the screen share here. I hope you guys appreciated this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.